I made a note of that and I decided that is not what I want to do. If you want to hire me and need my skills, you have to make space for me, who I am, and how I am. I do not want to change just to make my voice be heard. And if there is one advice I give is don't change who you are. Who you are and how you are is perfect. You have to figure out how to get your voice heard in your own way. And that is plenty.
Welcome to Women's Million Dollar Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Good morning. I'm Alice Tang in Portland, Oregon, the host of Women's Million Dollar Conversations, where we interview guests who has made, sold, or saved $1 million. Today, I'm very fortunate to sit in front of my friend, Jigna Kapadia. She is also an immigrant like me, but not from China, from the beautiful India. She is the chief of staff at Columbia Sportswear. Welcome, Jigna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Great. Jigna, if you would tell us a little bit about you, your work, or anything you want the audience to know before we dive deep.
Like you said, I am a first generation immigrant. I moved to the US from India in 2001. So I've spent almost 24 years here. I've spent more time in the US now than I did in India. 20 of those years have been in Portland. My career arc has been interesting. I came from an engineering background, but I've never once worked as an engineer. I jumped into marketing. It just happenstance from the get-go. But I found that I really liked that space. I loved talking to people. I understood the technology, but I loved talking to people. I've been at Columbia almost 9 years now, and 8 years before that, I was at Intel. I like staying committed to a company. I like long-term commitments and investments. So
Very
that's
good.
been my trajectory.
We're here to talk about $1 million. It took you a little longer, you mentioned to me, like a couple decades to save your first million. So tell us about that journey and any challenges.
Yeah, like I mentioned, being first generation immigrant, I was very fortunate. My parents invested a lot in my education, but I didn't come from money. We weren't a family of wealth. But what they did give me is an education. And they basically couldn't give me any money, but they didn't leave me with any debt. I didn't owe them anything. They said, go take care of yourself and live your life. And so I moved here at the age of 21. And after my education, the first couple of years, or the first 5 years or so, I felt obligated to send money back. I wanted to support my family. I wanted them to feel the gratitude. I wanted them to feel how much I appreciated everything they had done for me. Like I said, we're not well off. I was aware of their financial strains and struggles. In my million dollar journey, that's why my investment and all of that started a little late because I was focused on one, actually, two things. Is when you come here as a legal immigrant, it's a lot harder because you're paying all of the taxes, but you're getting none of the benefits. That
You're talking to an immigrant.
I know. So, that, and then combined with whatever little money I could save, I wanted to send back. So that was, like you mentioned, it took a couple of decades for me to get there. So those were some of the initial sort of things that I had to deal with. And even after that, over the course of my career, being a woman of minority has been challenging. Like I mentioned, I was at Intel. As a woman, I wasn't seen too technical, but as a minority, I wasn't seen too creative. So it was I I heard both comments blatantly. Oh, you're a woman. You should go work on the brand team over there. There are more women there. And on the flip side, it was, oh, I don't think you're creative enough. It was like, why would you assume that? You're Indian and you have a technical background, so I just assumed you weren't creative enough. So those were the kind of obstacles, or those are the types of things I've heard over the course of my career. And The good thing has been that I've been able to overcome it and not in an abrasive way. I never filed an HR complaint or anything, but I did let them know that, yeah, this is not cool. Having the right balance between standing up for yourself, but also being able to not let that bring you down.
Yeah. Behind the scene, I've known you for a little longer than just this interview, so I do have the great opportunity to hear about the two pregnancy and how
Mhm.
those biases or challenges come in. So would you share briefly?
Yes, both my pregnancies, it was very interesting. The anecdotes here are before my first pregnancy, I heard a rumor mill around the office that I wasn't going to come back. And I traced
Ooh.
it back. Yeah, I traced it back to my manager at that time, and he was in his late 50s, early 60s man. And I asked him, "Hey, I'm hearing that you're saying I'm not coming back." And he said, "Oh yeah, my wife, after she got pregnant and we had kids, she never went back to work, so I just assumed the one going to come back." Oh, the second pregnancy, that was another interesting piece. I heard rumblings that they were going to move me into another role. And so that is when I talked to the manager before I went to want to make sure, hey, I want my job to be secure and whatnot. And but sure enough, when I came back, they'd moved me to another team and another role. Pregnancies are such a natural part of a woman's life. And for that to be an obstacle or for you to have the fear that, hey, everything is not secure, it was nerve wracking. And you feel like, oh my gosh, am I going to have my job when I come back? Or how much is this going to set me back? And the truth is that you do lose, about 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years of your career path with each pregnancy, the 6 months leading into it and then the 6 months to a year coming out of it. It's just the second you announce to the world you're pregnant, things start changing at work. And over the course of my career, I've done the most I can, and I continue to, so that other women in these situations don't experience or feel that.
There is so much that I have felt people in general have good intent, but they stereotype. Even from the humanity standpoint, we believe that everybody is trying their best, but their best might be filtered by all these experience. My wife is like that, all my relatives, women, just stay
Yeah.
home after pregnancy, so shall you.
I think more often than not, I've shown that it's not that people mean to be bad. It's just that either they don't know any better, or two, they're just
Exactly.
yeah, so worried about their own worries that they don't really see you for who you
Yeah,
are.
I think the great part of that challenge, not only do you overcome it, you share
Yeah,
who you are. I'm different from your wife. I'm different
mhm,
from any other woman, employee
right,
you have oversee in your team. I
right.
am coming back.
It's interesting because I'm going through the opposite end of things right now, where this may be TMI, but I'm postmenopausal. So for the last 5 years have been just very, very perimenopause, menopausal. And that itself is very challenging. You think about teenagers and what they are going through hormone transformations in their teenage and that in that age, puberty. Menopause is kind of equivalent to that, but we don't really talk about it. Nobody really talks about it. Your body is going through so much transformation. And I have been open with everyone around here with what I'm going through. And it's just, women look at me like, wait, what? You're talking about this openly. I want to make space for these conversations because these are such real life experiences that we should not over.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel the same way, but I know being an immigrant and from those countries that you and I came from, I tend to be a little bit more open. And if people look at me like the deer with the headlight, that's if it's not never talk about, it would never normalize. Now that
Right.
made me think about at your Intel days, you have shared with me a story
Mhm.
about a high power woman after the meeting. You stop
Yeah.
her and
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
what advice you can give me. I'm sure our audience would like to know. Paint us a picture and tell us the story.
Yeah, I have always believed, and I feel like as a senior leader in an organization now, one of the things that we need to do is make space for people for who they are and how they are and how they work. And especially women. We do live in a patriarchal man-led world. And thus there are, like we talked about, there are systems, there are processes, there are ways of working that are tuned to that. And I've always believed that it's not just enough to hire women. You have to make space for how women work. I'm never going to be the loudest in the room. I'm never going to be the most aggressive in the room. But I have a different style. I have a nurturing way of bringing people together so that we all lift up. And a lot of that came from the anecdote you're talking about. This is years ago. I was 25, 26 at the time. And one of the senior women, and this is back at Intel again, the woman was one leader in a sea of men. And I was absolutely fascinated. And I asked her, what made you so successful? How are you so successful? And she said it wasn't easy. And she said that when I started, anytime I would have an opinion or voice what I had to say in a meeting, I was deemed aggressive and a bitch. And she said that if I was going to be called a bitch, that's what I'm going to do. And that for me was a key pivotal moment in my life because I made a note of that and I decided that is not what I want to do. If you want to hire me and need my skills, you have to make space for me, who I am, and how I am. I do not want to change who I am and how I am and the way I work just to make my voice be heard. And if there is one advice I give to anybody who's seeking advice or my mentees is don't change who you are. Who you are and how you are is perfect. You have to figure out how to get your voice heard in your own way. And that is plenty. You don't have to be aggressive because people think that or call you that.
Be yourself, don't
Be
change,
yourself.
because you are born with the skill and the talent and the
Yeah.
purpose as is. So
Yeah.
if we try to shrink or adapt too much to fit into a box, probably that box is not for us.
Exactly. And I just want to make sure, change is different from growing, right?
That's
You
right.
learn, you grow constantly. Learning in life never ends. I learn all the time. I'm still learning from my kids. And learning can come from anywhere. And learning and growing is different from changing, from not being authentic to yourself. And I think that is what I mean by stay authentic to yourself, and the rest will come. Don't go chasing after something that doesn't feel right or that requires you to become somebody else.
Perfect, perfect. I think this is a beautiful place where we just want to hear briefly about the new venture, the Ohana Way.
Yeah. So this is perfect transition. I'm starting to explore and be a part of and invest in a new business venture. I come from a family of business of entrepreneurs, and I've always wanted to own my own business. Again, in the light of what we were talking about earlier, I wanted it to feel true to who I am. I don't want to push product on people for the sake of pushing product on people. I really wanted to bring value to them. When I found Laura and she told me about it, it just felt just the right thing. And so we're co-founding this, and I'm gonna help with operations and bringing this vision and this business to life. So the Ohana Way is about helping people with life transitions, especially in the latter part of life. And so helping them think through what is it that they need to do to prepare themselves for the last leg of life. There is the physical and the tactical side of things, like decluttering, downsizing, letting go of things, estate planning, financials. But a big part of it is also understanding what is it that you're letting go of. How are you preparing yourself and thus preparing your kids and your future generation once you're gone. And so this is what appealed to me most. Fact, there are 10,000 people who turn 65 and older each day. The boomer generation is getting there, but we don't have the right resources to really help them with that part of life, essentially. So there's services who do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but an empathetic partner, a compassionate person who stands alongside you, helps you have these conversations, and then helps you through the tactical and the physical aspects of what needs to be done as well. Because yes, it's the physical stuff, but it is really the emotions tied to it. And how do you help navigate them through that so that they are free and can live in freedom and enjoy the last leg of their life?
I am looking forward to using some of the service because I'm definitely 20 years older than you. Today, Jana, we are so grateful for you taking some time from your very important position at Columbia Sportswear to have this conversation. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such an absolute pleasure. I love chatting with you. So thank you, Alice.